Welcome to the Homeschool Show from North Carolinians for Home Education. Our goal is to help you homeschool with confidence and joy. I'm your host, Matthew McDill, and we have as our co-host today, Amanda Wares.
Yes, hello.
How are you?
I am great, and I'm
Good.
so happy to be here.
Yeah, I'll introduce Amanda once again. She's our Homeschool Helps Director for NCHE. And of course, she's been doing our Homeschool Helps with Amanda. She'll do one live today. Mm-hmm. And Happy New Year to you.
Yes, Happy
you believe
New Year.
I 2023?
Cannot. No, it's unbelievable.
Another great year to homeschool.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Tell us what we got today.
All right. So today in homeschool news, we will report on the homeschool population and regulations in Oregon. Also, the application to be a vendor at the Thrive Conference is available.
Nice.
Yes. And then we have Homeschool Conversations. And today we will listen to a conversation John Lewis had with Isaias and Toney Sanchez at the Thrive Conference. And then we'll get to hear why some teens like being homeschooled.
That's right.
And then we'll have Homeschool Helps with Amanda. And I am going to talk about grading and high school transcripts today.
Okay.
So that'll be good. Then we'll have Wisdom from the Word, and Matthew will share with us some tips for how to stop fighting in our homes.
Yeah.
All right. I can't wait for that.
All right, let's just jump into homeschool news. We, of course, usually bring you news from North Carolina, but we also think it's pretty interesting to talk about what's going on nationally on the homeschool scene. And so talking about the population in Oregon right now from the Oregon Capital Chronicle. This article is titled, Oregon's Homeschooling Surge During Pandemic Starting to Cool, which is the case everywhere.
Right.
Homeschool enrollment declined slightly this year, but is still about 40% higher today than it was in 2019 before the pandemic. And just to compare, before I go into the article, that's kind of what's happening in North Carolina as well. True. We had a big spike during the COVID years, and then we've dropped back down. But the place that we're down to is still higher than 2019 significantly. So we are continuing to increase.
Right.
So back to the article. Between 2019 and 2020, the number of students registered for homeschooling in Oregon shot up about 71%. From just over 18,000 to more than 31,000. The number of students, and by the way, just for context, we have 100,000 families in our state.
Right.
The number of students taught at home this year is down about 7.5% from last year. Okay. Parents who choose to homeschool their kids must report their intent to do so with one of the state's 19 regional districts. Homeschool enrollment among those districts is still about 40% higher today than it was in 2019 before the pandemic moved classes online for a year. So someone from the Texas Homeschool Coalition said, people who became involuntary homeschoolers during the pandemic said, wow, I didn't realize my kid was under so much stress. A lot of parents are saying, actually, this has really worked out well for us and we're going to stick with it.
Nice.
So the pandemic, according to Jeremy, moved people into homeschooling who weren't necessarily going to.
Right.
Homeschooled students still make up a relatively small portion of the overall student population in the state. Even with the boom in 2020, the number enrolled in homeschooling was about 5% of the state's total student population. Homeschooling in Oregon involves little oversight. The Oregon Department of Education recommends content standards and a framework for teaching at home on its website, but parents aren't required to use it. Students need to test for comprehension in major subject areas at grades 3, 5, 8, and 10. That would be nice.
Yeah.
We have to do it every year in North Carolina.
Yeah.
When it comes to earning a diploma at graduation, it's up to local high schools to decide whether to award one.
Oh, wow.
Now, when I read that, I thought, that doesn't sound right.
No.
So earlier today, I emailed my friends in Oregon who are leading the homeschool group, and I'm like, what is this about the highest public high schools? They said, no, that's not right.
Oh, okay.
So the reality is a homeschool student can get a diploma from a high school if it's approved by the high school. But in general, parents give diplomas just like in North Carolina, and that's the standard, and they're free to do so.
Okay.
So that's a little bit misleading right there, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Sure is. Wow.
So anyway, that's what's going on in Oregon.
Super interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So the application. to be in the 2023 Thrive Conference Vendor Hall. It is available right now. So applications are taken as space allows. If you have questions, email Debbie Mason at debbie.mason@nche.com. And remember that Thrive Conference, it's May 25th to 27th, 2023.
That's right.
Now, registration doesn't open to attend the conference until next month, but you can go ahead and check out our 6 featured speakers at nche.com/thrive/speakers.
That's right. So that is our news. And now we're going to go ahead and have our homeschool conversations. And as we said, John spoke with Isaias and Toney Sanchez. And as you probably know, we've already introduced Isaias. He's our producer for the show. We may get him to talk to us here in just a minute afterward. But let's see what John had to say with Isaias.
Well, I'm at the Thrive Conference in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and I'm sitting here with Isaias Sanchez and Toney Sanchez, and they are first-timers at the NCHE Thrive Conference. And a little bit of interesting information, Isaias is our producer/engineer for the Homeschool Show.
Yes, I am.
So, Isaias, we're glad that you're finally on camera. How long have you been doing this? How long have you been homeschooling?
Our oldest is in 6th grade.
6th grade.
So the whole time.
And how many are there?
We've got 3.
3. So 6th grade.
6th grade, 2nd grade, finishing up, and then a 2-year-old.
Any particular takeaways from those sessions that were particularly powerful for you?
Don't compare yourself to other homeschoolers and even other public school kids, because they're not on the same level, and that's okay.
She once told me if she can pick a career and it be a student, she would do it. I'm like, you would? I would love to get paid just to be a student. I'm like, I don't think it works that way.
Yeah.
And you're a little crazy, but coming from public school, I just didn't want my kids. They're either going to be private school or homeschool, and since she loves to go to school, I said, this is the perfect opportunity for her to be in school for the next,
Still not going to get paid for it, but maybe you won't spend as much.
But you know what? It really opens up. You get a lot more freedom.
Yeah.
A lot more family time. I mean, we take a vacation in the late summer, so we start our homeschool, stop for a couple weeks, and everybody else starts school. And then we go on vacation. Yeah. And then we come back and then resume homeschooling. So it gives us a lot of flexibility to be able to go and just, it's on our terms. There's a lot of diversity here that I did not expect. Yeah. I know we've been, Matthew has been trying to push that by getting, different cultures in here, but I'm actually seeing it. You just, I didn't know what to expect. I just didn't expect all the diversity. Yeah. And it's really good to see that happening, and seeing just different cultures and different colors, just walking around, talking and having fun. And it's a really cool thing.
And there's a lot more diversity out there, not just ethnic diversity among homeschool families, but diversity of reasons why people choose to homeschool. Yes. Some people choose to homeschool because of special needs, or some people choose to homeschool because of some kind of health issues or family limitations of some sort. Some people choose to homeschool because of religious conviction. So there's a lot of different things that motivate it, but there's something, I think, for everybody here at the Thrive Conference, and hopefully people will come and take advantage of that in the future. And so it's been great to talk to you guys. Isaias, thank you for all you do. Yes. The Homeschool Show would not exist without you. I wouldn't say and Toney, thank you for coming and joining us this year as well. Hope you guys.
I think it's a lot more flexible than public school. I think that you can actually take time out of your day to learn through more experiences than actually just sitting in a classroom all day. And I don't know, it's more fun. It's less work. I don't know if that's true for everyone, but for us it probably is than a regular school day. But yeah, that's probably the main reason I like it. If we're talking about subjects, I like everything but math, but that doesn't really matter. I'm not bad at it, but
So you can finish school earlier than normally when you go to school because they schedule the time to match up with work so that you won't have to have your kid home alone. And if you don't finish a subject in time or you don't have enough time for that subject, you can just finish it the next day.
Right.
I like homeschooling because it allows flexibility, like where you can go on like field trips to learn about certain things. Like if you're interested in art, you can go to like an art museum for one day and see all the different art techniques and stuff. And I also like that there's different co-ops around that you can also go to and be taught by other parents and stuff.
So I really like homeschooling because there's just a lot, flexibility, and then you can also choose what you learn. And it's a great way to implement Christianity into it, or I don't know, special things you want to do, like when you get to college or something. I also like it because you make a lot of friends, and then you get to also meet other people. And most homeschool places help a lot with getting comfortable around adults and being able to talk to them. So that's why I like homeschooling.
All right, or Amanda, you may have recognized that banquet hall where those kids were, because we were at the National Leaders Conference with HSLDA.
Yes,
and so I sat down at this table, and there were a bunch of kids there, and I just passed the mic around and said, what do you guys like about homeschooling? I would say most kids that I've met love homeschooling.
Yes.
I guess some don't, but I haven't really met any.
No.
I'm sure they're out there. So we appreciate Isaias being on there. Isaias, let's pop over to you here for a second.
Yes.
Just because you're here.
I'm here.
And I want to thank you for running this show and doing such a great job with it. But I want to ask you, besides flexibility, is there another thing that you really enjoy or appreciate about homeschooling?
So I work at the radio station, so I go into work a little bit earlier. But what I really love is to be able to come home and have my kids there. You know, I have the young one. He's 3 right now, so he's not in school. But to just have them run to me and just meet me at the door.
Yeah.
You know, the next youngest one is 8 years old, so he doesn't run to me as much as he used to.
Yeah.
But you know, that's a lot of fun to be able to come home and have the kids running after you, and they don't have to worry about school.
Yeah, that's great. I love just more family time.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
I think that's just a big part of it right there.
Yeah, and you know, to just be able to, when I have a day off, the kids are home and everybody else is in school, and just, you know, we can go to the movies and nobody else is there. We can just go do a whole bunch of things,
right?
And while the kids are in school.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Homeschool Helps with Amanda. What are you going to help us with today, Amanda?
Today we are talking about grading and transcripts.
Okay. I bet you get a lot of questions about that.
I sure do. It is one of those questions that people, especially people who pull their kids out of public school or traditional school, they're really worried about it. What about grades? What about transcripts when you get to high school? What about it? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So, first of all, I want to ask a question. What is the purpose of grades? So, if you think about it, grades in a traditional classroom, you have one teacher and you have a lot of students, anywhere from 20 to 30 students. Usually it's a lot. And so the teacher cannot possibly have intimate knowledge of what each one of those students knows and doesn't know, what they have mastered, what they truly understand. So they give homework, they give tests, they give quizzes, and they have to have those grades to tell them where that student is in those different subjects, where they are in their mastery, in their understanding of that content. Also, in a school system, they have to have grades as kind of a measuring stick of how those kids are doing. Now, What of that applies in our homeschool? None of it. It doesn't apply. If you, as a mom or a dad, with your 1 student, 2 students, however many kids you have at home, I don't care how long you've been homeschooling. If you've been homeschooling 2 days, you have more intimate knowledge of what your student knows and doesn't know, what they have mastered, if they truly understand that concept or not. There is, in my opinion, there is no purpose, especially in elementary school and middle school, there is no purpose in giving grades. There really isn't. I've homeschooled for 18 years, and I do not give grades to elementary students or middle school students at all. Because as we're going through, we learn the concepts. We study about that time period in history or the grammar, and we learn it until they know it. We learn it until they master the concept. So if I gave them grades, it'd all be hundreds. It'd all be A's. There's no point. It doesn't apply. It's a totally different situation. So it's a paradigm shift in how we think about it. So that is for elementary and middle school. Now, when you get to high school, that's a whole different animal. It's a different thing, because what your student does after high school, whether they go to trade school, whether they start working a job, whether they go to community college or a 4-year university, we're still working within a system that is going to require grades. It's going to require it. You're going to have a transcript for your high school student that shows what they did in high school and have some kind of grades on it. Now, I could get into that. I could talk about transcripts for an hour, so I'm not really going to get into details about it right now, but I'm just telling you that you can be creative. There is some flexibility in those transcripts of what kind of classes, how you're going to list what subjects those students do. There is some flexibility in how you grade those students and in what credits you give. That's a whole nother story also. But the point is, in high school, yes, I give grades. Yes, I keep records. I make them a transcript that records each of the classes and subjects that they do all through high school, so that whatever that student wants to do after high school, whatever they're supposed to do, if they're supposed to go work a job, if they're supposed to go to a 4-year university, they're ready to do that, and they're prepared. They're able to do it. So that's how I approach grading and transcripts for elementary all the way to high school. That's what I do. So I hope that helps.
Yeah, I would ask this, because I have a high schooler now, and we haven't been doing a lot of grading type things.
Sure.
And I think one thing I noticed was a little bit of slacking, because it was like, well, I don't even know how grades work. And then we're in high school. And so anyway, it ended up being a way of motivating him.
Sure.
Because he realized, I want good grades because I want to be able to get into this or that university.
Right.
And basically I'm saying, well, I'm not just going to give you an A. I mean, you are going to know this stuff.
Yes.
And so anyway, there were those ways of seeing that it was, I guess, motivating to him and seeing how all that works.
Sure.
At the high school level.
Sure.
And like you said, the younger ones, it doesn't make any difference.
It really doesn't.
Yeah.
No, I've seen the same with my own kids too. Yes, absolutely.
All right. Thank you so much for that. And we have a lot of great resources on our website about transcripts and about high school that Amanda's put up. So you can go to nche.com and go to the Helps page or the Helps link and see all the stuff about high school. And there's transcripts and a lot of stuff there. A lot of things to think about.
Definitely.
All right. I'd like to share a little wisdom from the Word. And as Amanda already said, the topic here is how to stop the fighting in your home. The other day, quite a long time ago, when my 2 boys were not in college and they were at home, they got into an all-out yelling fist fight.
Oh, no.
In the van while we were driving.
Oh, no.
This is the worst.
Oh,
the worst
goodness.
place. I'm like, okay, and I'm going to stop this van, and I'm about to get in on this
Yes.
and beat these boys.
Oh.
Not really. Anyway, so You know, I think one of the most difficult things about parenting is the fighting.
Yes.
And just the fact that we just want some peace, and especially if you have multiple siblings, right?
So
and they're
true.
just bickering and fighting and telling on each other and all of this. You're like, just stop.
Yes.
And so it reminds me of Proverbs 17:1, which says, better is a dry morsel with quiet than a house full of feasting with strife.
Ooh.
So you'd think lots of awesome stuff, lots of great food is valuable, but it is not as valuable as peace. I would just rather have peace.
I agree.
So that's one of the reasons that I think we want to talk about this is we have a desire for peace. We want to have peaceful homes. Another reason that we want to do this is because of wanting to raise our kids to love and obey God. And we know that in Ephesians 4:2 it says, be completely humble and gentle, be patient, bearing with one another in love.
Yes.
So these are the kind of people we want to be. That's how we're trying to raise our kids.
Absolutely.
So that's another reason that we would want to figure out how to stop the fighting. One more with that is that we want to raise our kids to be mature. We want them to be able to function. We want them to be able to get along with people, right? And it's our job to teach them how to do that and to help them to do that. So anyway, these are some of our motives of why we would want a peaceful home and how to stop the fighting. So what I want to do is give you 3 tips for that, but I'm only going to give you 1 this week and 2 next week. So that means you're going to have to wait and tune in. So here's number 1, and that is set a peaceful example. Set a peaceful example.
That's tough.
I realized that I taught my kids to yell and be ugly. I taught them. Now, I didn't say, here, kids, here's how to do it. No, I just did it. And they realized that when I was rude or sarcastic or yelled or was impatient, they're like, oh, that's how we behave. You know? And so the first thing I realized is if I want to teach them how to be patient and kind and stop fighting, then I have to stop. And I have to change the way that I'm going to be, right?
That's tough.
And
That's really hard.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where you find yourself saying to your kids, stop yelling, but you're yelling. You're yelling, stop yelling, right?
Exactly.
And you're like, okay, somehow I'm undermining what I'm saying right here. Here, let me grab my Bible. So the two big questions I want to ask is, how are we treating our spouse? And how are we treating our kids? Because not only is the way that we treat our kids part of our example, but they're watching us interact with our husband and our wife, which is pretty hard to think about. So I'm going to go to Proverbs and go to chapter 26:21, and it says this: as charcoal to hot embers and wood to fire, so is a quarrelsome man for kindling strife.
Oh, wow.
So it's being compared to fire, right? And a quarrelsome man is the description here. And then we're going to do the same thing for the ladies and go to Proverbs 21:19, which says, it is better to live in a desert land than with a quarrelsome and fretful wife. Okay, so am I quarrelsome? You know, that's what each of us have to ask. Am I a fighter? Am I someone who's constantly picking and not able to be peaceful in that? And that's something that our kids are watching.
Absolutely.
And then the other hard question is, how am I treating my kids? And of course, I remember, as we've talked many times here, from Ephesians 6:4, where it says, fathers, do not provoke your children to anger.
Right.
And as I was trying to understand what that meant, we jump over to Proverbs 15:1, which says, a gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So now I'm asking the question, how am I going to make my children angry? By being harsh with them, right? So I want to learn how to treat my children with respect, with gentleness, with kindness. Now, that doesn't mean I don't require of them obedience. That doesn't mean I don't correct them or tell them what to do. It just means I don't have to be angry about it.
Right.
You know, that's not a part of it. And when the kids are treated this way, they learn how to treat others. Now, all of this is very challenging.
Definitely.
Because right off the bat, we're going to go, I don't know if I can do it. I'm so frustrated. I'm so
Yes,
angry. I'm so irritated. I have such a short temper. And I'm just going to be really hard on us right here. Okay? Get over it. That is so totally lame that we can't be adults and exercise self-control
Yes.
and learn to be kind and learn not to be angry. Now, I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying it's not hard for all of us to do, but I'm saying we can do it. More importantly, as believers in Jesus Christ, we know that he has given us grace, as it says in 2 Corinthians 9:8, in all situations at all times to abound in every good work. So he can empower us to do it. I think the big
great.
issue is, will we trust God to transform us, to show us what our kids can be like, and stop the fighting in our home?
That's awesome.
Yep.
So important, so timely and needed. Wow. All right.
yeah.
Well, thanks for joining us this week. We would love to hear from you. Please send your questions and feedback to us at thehomeschoolshow@nche.com. Now, please help others find this show by subscribing, rating, and leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. If you think this show will be helpful to your friends and family, let them know about it. Share with them. And to learn how to subscribe to our show as a podcast and on YouTube, visit nche.com/thehomeschoolshow.